Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to respond to the idea that axioms are completely arbitrary. In other words, it's the basic idea that a lot of people espouse that your axiomatic concepts like causality or identity or free will or these sort of ideas that are fairly axiomatic. They're not like the axioms of objectivism. There's 3 of those, but these axiomatic concepts. There's a common argument that people have that these are simply arbitrary assertions that we need to espouse to continue with philosophy. Now, this is a very bad mentality because ultimately it leads to these sort of assertions being easily rejected, easily dismissed by anyone who wants to claim some other sort of philosophy that doesn't accept these axioms. For example, religious people will say, oh, these axioms are arbitrary, so why can't I have an arbitrary axiom like God? However, this is not the case. These axioms are not arbitrary. Any claim that these axioms are arbitrary is actually an arbitrary claim. So let's get into this justification a little bit. Let's take the example of identity. A is A. Everything is what it is. You can look around in reality and see that everything is what it is. This is a pencil. This is a mouse. These are dice. This is a book. This is a box of Pop-Tarts. Everything is what it is, and it is what it is. Like, this thing is a box of Pop-Tarts. It is a box of Pop-Tarts. A is A. Everything is what it is. So you can look around at reality and basically look at everything and see that every single thing, every single entity has an identity. This basically explains the assertions that existence is identity, because everything that exists has identity, and to exist means to have some sort of identity. A is A. Everything is what it is. You can come to that axiom simply by looking at reality. Now let's look at causality. This is another axiom. Well, when I pulled one of the books down earlier, when I pulled Atlas Shrugged down to show that a book is what it is, a bunch of other books fell with it. That is because of friction, because when I pulled on this book, another book got pulled on and fell down. And that's because of when you pull on a certain thing, it slides other things occasionally. That's one example of causality. Or when you pull on something, other stuff falls down. That is one example of gravity. When something is suspended in air, it will drop. That is cause and effect. But when you let go of a balloon, it'll release and go upward. These are all examples of causality. And once again, I haven't said this yet, but all of these sort of axioms you discover simply by looking at reality, through inducing reality. I would highly recommend looking at Peikoff's course, Objectivism Through Induction. I just started that course last night actually, and it gives you a very interesting look at how you come to these axioms. It's not through proofs. It's not through like proving that it's true. You don't come to causation by proving it's true because of identity. You can relate causation to identity, but you cannot prove causation by using identity. That is rationalistic. So, there's obviously a relation between the two, because if everything is what it is, everything has an identity. It behaves according to that identity. Those are very much intertwined ideas, but they don't make each other true. They simply to an extent, they make each other stronger by interrelating the two and by essentially like having an integration, since everything in reality is connected. And then you can talk about free will as another example. This you can also find through induction, through experience. You can look at yourself and you can think about, introspect and look at any time that somebody tells you something, for example. You can choose to focus on that and integrate it into your mind, or you can choose to not focus on it at all and completely ignore it. I mean, that's basically the essence of what free will is. It's the ability to focus your mind. And most other things related to free will are derivatives of that. But that's basically the essence. That's the axiom of free will, the axiomatic sort of essence of free will. What's another axiomatic concept? Here's a fun one. The senses. How do you know the senses are valid? Well, everything that you know, everything that you experience comes from the senses. Every aspect of reality that you integrate in your mind comes from the senses. You can look at, like, the only reason that I know literally anything, know that anything exists, like this pencil exists, this book exists, any of this stuff, the reason that I know that any of this exists is because of the senses. And everything that I know about them, everything that I know to be true about them comes from the senses. And that is basically what reality is. Your senses are, well, basically how your senses work is you look at, or it's reality interacting with your sense organs, and then your mind, and that basically goes into your mind, and your mind interprets that. Basically your mind interprets that. Your sense organs cannot be flawed. That's your basis for all knowledge. That's your only connection with reality, the interaction between your sense organs and reality. And it's not omniscient. It doesn't give you automatic knowledge. But what it does is it gives you basically a snapshot of reality. And this is also something that you is true. People can make claims that, but why would you believe that your senses? That seems like a completely arbitrary claim. But when they do that, they are obviously making an arbitrary claim, because they're just saying that. Like, it's simply words to say that your senses are uncertain. It's just meaningless words. It doesn't speak to anything true in reality that you experience. It doesn't speak to anything true in reality. It doesn't point to. There's nothing that you're pointing to. With your senses, you can point to, there's this interaction between my eyes and reality right here, where I'm seeing myself in the camera right now. I'm looking at my microphone, looking at all the stuff around me on my desk. Or your ears, I can hear myself speak. It's this interaction between reality and my sense organs. And this is very, very much like an aspect of reality. This is something true. And any claim against these sort of things is an arbitrary claim that literally goes against everything that you've ever experienced. So to make such an argument is so clearly arbitrary, and so clearly just like contradictory to everything you've ever experienced, that there's no reason why you should accept such an argument. It's absolutely absurd. But this is not something that I can prove to you through deductive proof. This is something that you have to induce from reality. All you have to do is look at reality. I can't give you a deductive proof of it. That's not possible. But you look at reality and induce. That is the starting point of all philosophy, is existence. You look at reality. And from there you can basically discover all of these axioms, and from there you can discover objectivism, basically. So yeah, as long as you are honest with your looking at reality, don't expect to be able to just deduce everything from nothing. You can't deduce everything from nothing. That's rationalism. You have to, because in such a case, you have to come up with some arbitrary floating premise at some point. And those are arbitrary axioms. Not axioms based on reality, based on everything we experience. Those are not arbitrary axioms. But your axioms that you come up with when you don't look at reality, and just come up with some floating premise because you want to be able to deduce everything else, that's an arbitrary premise. And that is rationalism. That's how you end up with really, really terrible philosophies that aren't actually based on reality. So yeah, I hope that all made sense. I think that's all I have to say for today, and thank you all for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.